Senator Rand Paul, we're here at the Reagan Library. We're thrilled that you're here with us today, and we hope you'll come back often.
Well, I'm excited to be here. It's a real thrill.
I just have a couple of questions for you today. There's been a lot of discussion within the Republican Party since the day after the presidential election in 2012 as to what should and can be done to reorganize, rejuvenate, and renovate the Republican Party. I'm sure you're not ready to tell us whether you're running, but can you tell us what you think the party ought to do to be ready to take back the White House?
Well, some of it, I think is that we don't need to dilute our message. People are saying we need to give up on, Reagan talked about tyranny and collectivism and big government, that we need to give up on all that and become sort of Democrat light. I disagree. I first saw Reagan in 1976 when I went to the Republican convention. And one of the things about him that was sort of infectious was the optimism that he exuded. And I think really if we can exude that again towards the working class, for the first time in a generation you had people who were working class, blue-collar Democrats who became Republicans in sort of a transformational way, but they came because of his great leadership. I think that's what we need again. It's not about diluting the message, because his message was a message of conservatism and limited government.
And do you think that we have people right now within the party that have identified themselves?
I think there's a whole new wave of people coming in, and I'm a big believer that it doesn't need to be a career politician, and that the longer they're there, maybe the less likely they are to be a great nominee. It's why sometimes we've done better with getting people outside of government. President Reagan came from being governor, but it wasn't quite being in the trap of, Potomac fever for 40 years. And so I think sometimes that's good. I think also younger. President Obama's been a younger president. Takes an incredible amount of energy. Now, President Reagan was older when he ran, but when he ran in '76, he was quite a bit younger, and I think he would have been even better in 1976.
There are those that would agree. Can you tell me, in your opinion, what piece of Ronald Reagan's legacy do you think is the most relevant today, and how we can use him, not just to tell history, but to apply it to the issues that we have today and really better our country?
Well, I think it is the optimism, and it's looking for the best in people. You didn't think of Ronald Reagan and think of him tearing down somebody just because they're on government assistance or something. You would think that he's offering this vision and this dream for those people who may be on government assistance to someday not be, to get a job and the hope of a better future. And you really did get that from him. And I think that that's more important really than the policy. The same way, like if we as Republicans want to reach out to African Americans, Asian Americans, Latinos, Hispanics, to get to those people, it's a matter of saying that we care about who they are, that we want to help them, more than it is the specific issues. I think we've given up on trying to make the Republican Party more inclusive, and I think if we do that, we'll begin to be a strong national party again.
And in your travels across the country and certainly throughout your state, do you see evidence of that?
I think so, and I think that I've been fairly harsh in saying that I think the party needs to evolve, adapt, or die, because we are really a very diverse country now, and if the Republican Party is going to be the party of getting the white vote, they're never going to win again. So we have to acknowledge, and we have to somehow reach out to groups that haven't been listening to us. But I think our message is one that is great for those who are trying, the ones that are not yet the haves, is what I call them. Not the have-nots, but not yet the haves. There is potential for everybody in our country, and there is great mobility. But if we can tell them that our policies will help them, and we've had 40 years of the Democrats running education in our country, and I think really driving it into the ground, that really we do care about those who are not yet haves, about trying to get them into the middle class.
That's a great message. Wonderful optimism. And finally, do you sense a change in the environment in Washington, D.C., in that you think the two parties can work together and really affect some change? You think we're there yet?
Well, yes and no. And some people think we should agree just for the sake of agreeing, and I think they haven't read enough history, because going back really to the Founding Fathers, there were bitter disputes from the very beginning. And if you believe passionately in something, and it's really about principle, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, things like that I think are worth debating, and I don't think people begrudge you taking a strong stand. But I think there's also empty partisanship sometimes, where we're just attacking the other side just because we want to attack the other side. That I think people could do less with, the empty partisanship and the bickering back and forth. I personally think there's probably 200 bills we could pass right now but they're always waiting for a bigger bill that has, it's like immigration reform. Republicans and Democrats all want people who have PhDs and masters. We want them to stay in our country. They have jobs. Google will hire them. eBay will hire them. Facebook will hire them. We want those people in our country, both Republican and Democrat, but they're always holding out for some big grand bill that's harder to get, when if we broke up some of these bills into smaller pieces, I think we could pass more things.
Good. Well, I thank you for being here today. We're interested in hearing about your new book. I know that's your second book, right?
Yes, first book we did was Tea Party Comes to Washington, and then this is Government Bullies. Talks about a lot of regulatory abuse, average ordinary people who we think did no wrong, maybe putting clean dirt on a low area of their backyard or put in prison, and what government's taken things that were well-intentioned and really taken them to the absurd point of putting law-abiding people in jail.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I hope you'll come back again.
Thanks.
Good.
Great job, guys.